The Iowa caucuses are pretty important. All the campaigns right now are vigorously campaigning in order to get out the vote in the nation's very first primary contest. So now, I don't think I need to explain this, but it's pretty cold in Iowa at this time of year. And sometimes the weather can get a little bit dicey, which can impede the campaign's efforts to get out the vote, to spread that message, right? Now, one such campaign facing this problem was the Biden campaign. And I think all of them were facing this campaign as they're trying to get around the state. And sometimes the weather just didn't work out. Now, the Biden campaign's solution to this, though, especially after some recent storms, was to suspend their inclement weather campaign in order to get staffers back out on the roads so that they can campaign for Joe Biden. Now, this has been reported by Ken Klippenstein for The Nation. And they said that the policy had allowed people to avoid driving during potentially hazardous weather conditions. However, since it was so busy at the time, they decided to suspend that. Now, this was according to text messages obtained by Klippenstein from the campaign. Quote, "Hey guys, all weather," and this is from Kay Glad, by the way, Biden's regional organizing director for Iowa. "Hey guys, all weather policy is dissolved throughout the entire state because we have 5 weeks left until the election. If it feels like unsafe driving conditions, then talk to me separately. But frankly, I don't want to hear any complaints because you know how important this is and how much time we have left." Man, I am feeling some very big, "Hey, you still going to come to work, right?" vibes from this lady. Like, imagine, mountain of snow. You still come to work, right? That's what that is. That's what that is. And so Glad added that, quote, "By showing an ability to be adaptable, flexible, and willing to do what you've been hired to do, then that is the most basic threshold of demonstrating your ability to lead others. Every single day is an audition for post Iowa." That's if of course you happen to survive that, which unfortunately a couple of people didn't. So now my philosophy is I don't care if it's not safe to drive. Don't drive. Don't make people drive. That's how accidents happen. Jesus. And by the way, the Biden campaign. Look, the Biden campaign. Joe Biden himself has lived through tragedy of car accidents. Right. In 1972, Biden's then wife and daughter were killed in a fatal car accident. A truck had broadsided them when they were shopping for a Christmas tree. And so they had died in a car accident. So you would think the campaign would be a little bit more sensitive to that, as he tends to bring that up in the campaign trail. Now, look, to be fair, this isn't from Joe Biden himself, right? This is one of their campaign people. Now, the text messages, however, were provided to the nation by a Biden staffer. Now, this Biden staffer gave it on the condition of anonymity since they were not authorized to speak for the campaign. The staffer also said that there had been at least 5 different car accidents among the campaign's Iowa staffers between Christmas and New Year's Day alone. Now that's important, right? This is a campaign staffer, somebody who believes in Joe Biden, saying, "I don't like what our campaign is having to do, running around the state in this terrible weather." Now, they cited a recent car accident that actually resulted in the death of a Warren campaign volunteer. The staffer described other campaign workers as fearful of another potential accident. Again, staffers and volunteers to these campaigns. Now, one person that died, this is the Warren person, is Zachary, or was Zachary Pressburg. Now, he was a field organizing fellow and volunteer for the Warren campaign. He died when his car was struck by a semi when he tried to pass another vehicle. He was 22 years old. So, in 2016, Braden Joplin, an Iowa staffer for Ben Carson's presidential campaign, died in a car accident while trying to navigate icy roads, which left 3 other campaign staff injured. Joplin was only 25 years old. So, no. I understand how campaigns are important, right? And look, I think it's pretty important that Bernie Sanders win the Iowa caucus and go on to win New Hampshire. But let's just say that this, right? Even though campaigns are important, they are not worth dying over. Now, look, obviously, other Biden campaign officials agreed with this. That's why he gave the text messages to Ken Klippenstein. And so now Klippenstein reports that this was taken care of pretty quickly. A Biden campaign official confirmed that GLAAD had suspended the weather policy, but said that she had acted unilaterally and was subsequently reprimanded, and her team was given proper guidance. So, Julie Krieger, Biden's Iowa communications director, said this in a comment, quote, "Our campaign's most important asset is the staff working tirelessly around the country to help Joe Biden defeat Donald Trump and restore the soul of our nation." Oh, I know, right? But hey, look, at least she's like, hey, man, look, our staffers are important. So we're at least making sure that they don't drive in these icy roads. And that's actually a good thing, right? That's why she says we always prioritize their safety and well being and put in place policies, both in Iowa and nationally, to ensure that they remain safe in hazardous weather conditions. The Nation also contacted the Sanders, Buttigieg, Warren, and Klobuchar campaigns to ask if they have the same kind of policy, inclement weather policies, to protect staffers. Now, the only one that responded so far is actually a Klobuchar campaign official. Now, here's what they said. Extreme weather conditions have previously resulted in the campaign having staffers work from home. When inclement weather causes hazardous conditions, we make it a point for members of the campaign to consider personal safety first when evaluating their ability to report to work. So, good on that campaign. So, look, as much as I've heard of Amy Klobuchar mistreating her campaign staff, at least she doesn't make them go out and drive in icy weather and get themselves killed. Great. And also, look, credit for Biden for correcting the issue. These staffers have enough to worry about than getting into car accidents in a blizzard, campaigning around the state. So now, I give you that statement as a segue into this. Labor conditions, according to Matt Cain, who served as an Iowa field organizer for President Obama in his first campaign, said the labor conditions for campaign staffers are abysmal. And he cites long hours and low pay. Quote, "The expectation was 14 to 16-hour workdays, 4 hours of sleep is pretty common." These conditions, by the way, have led to campaign staff unionizing, which I think is a great thing. In May of 2019, for example, Bernie Sanders' campaign became the first presidential campaign staff in U.S. history to become part of a union, and is now represented by the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 400. Now, Bernie Sanders was the first, not the only. Hear you what other campaigns following, for example, the campaign staff of Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, are now both represented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers 2320. And then you also have Booker, who dropped out, and Klobuchar, who's still there, represented by the Teamsters Local 238. So, hey, look, great. Unionization for campaign workers is a good thing. Unionization of workers in general is a great thing. Wonderful, right? So, look, whoever you're campaigning for, and just remember, like, if you come up across this kind of policy that says, oh, no, what we're going to do is we're going to make you guys drive all over for this campaign, that you might want to reevaluate why you're following this campaign, because it's not worth your life, and you do have labor rights. So big props to Ken Klippenstein for doing this report. He does great work over at The Nation, so check him out. All right, one more story here. Let's go to, I guess, our controversial story, Joe Rogan. All right.